One. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday, and we have the fantastic Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time here. And yes, your screens do not confuse you. Please
That's a
don't
pretty
be
sexy
confused.
tie, dude.
It's not bad, dude. I couldn't find my dark purple, so I went with my light purple. I didn't
Yeah,
want to
there you
be
go.
too much of a
Yeah,
show off
yeah,
because
yeah.
yours is like a blue and pink, right?
Yeah, blue and pink. Yeah, it's got a little bling in. I don't know if the lights are picking it up.
Yeah.
Little
Oh, look
little-
at that! Wow,
Yeah, got it. Oh, dude, I only kept the really expensive ties. This has got little jewelry in it. I don't know if you can see.
that's really nice. See, I've got a nice tie, but I'm a big watch guy.
Oh, yeah, I left my watch at home. Damn it. I got to bring the watch. I got a couple of those too.
Yeah, yeah. I won't wear a gold chain, so my only option is a watch. So that's kind of how that goes. So, Mike, what we wanted to talk about in segment 2 is just kind of talking about the market. The constant concept of bubble, bubble, bubble. It's a bubble. I think what we did in the first video was we really just tried to change mindset on crypto versus real estate, and really what that argument really needs to be, or that conversation needs to be, because we want to move that ball forward. What I wanted to do was kind of move the ball forward on this, bubble concept, because I think there certainly can be bubbles, but let's kind of talk through it and kind of give people a different mindset on this.
Yeah, I got some comments here recently that really led to this video.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically saying things that I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
We are in an everything bubble. All bubbles pop.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you remember the last housing bubble, right? Bubble is being thrown around. And, I remember playing with bubbles with my daughter, right? Blowing them, and all bubbles pop. That's an accurate statement.
They do.
And then I've been telling people that I think we're going to have a housing slowdown. So for me, I've been trying to tie all of this together in my head. And I think this is what it is. I actually think the housing market is not a bubble. I think the housing market is a balloon.
Okay.
Right. And the difference is important because, again, all bubbles pop. Not all balloons do. Right. You can blow up a bubble a la real estate in 2006, 7, 8, 9. That eventually pops. Too much air, stretches, pops, explodes. It is an amazing thing. However, balloons, they can have slow leaks.
Yeah.
Bubbles, if you just let go of where it can deflate at different rates.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually what I think is going to happen in real estate. I believe what we are seeing today, right? So I do believe affordability is a huge problem. Affordability is stretched just like 2007. I get it. I know the math. I talk about affordability all the time.
Sure.
I just don't see the underlying cascading of inventory of 3 million foreclosures because of all bad lending, right? The ARMs, the 2 and 28s, all of that. So what I think is going to happen is we have Jerome Powell raising rates. We've already seen the 30-year up to 5 and 5.5, 6.5 for investors.
Yep.
We are seeing supply destruction, which nobody's talking about, but I am.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see going on right now is a pretty significant letting go of the balloon. So what is going to happen over the next 3, 5, 8 years in housing is we are going to have wage inflation into an environment where the Fed eventually cuts rates. I think much later than most people think. But I think we're going to have wage inflation and eventually lower rates years from now that will allow the balloon to not pop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not comfortable calling it a housing bubble because you're right. All bubbles pop.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think the real estate market is a balloon. Can it pop? Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Wait.
I've been through it. I have seen it.
We lived it. Yeah.
And more importantly, I called it.
Yeah.
I took action and got out ahead of time. And believe me, if I saw a bubble, I would sell again.
Sure.
I just don't. I mean, I frankly, I hope I'm wrong. I've set up my portfolio. If I'm wrong, it's great, but I just don't see it. So to me, I think the housing market is a balloon. I think what we have is lower transactions for the next several years. We have relatively flat we have flat real housing growth, and it goes up nominally based on whatever inflation is. So you got to understand economics to get what I just said. But yeah, I don't see the housing market being a bubble that has to pop. So I had to create another image. So I used a balloon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. I mean, with my kids, I like to, squeeze the balloon real tight so it makes that wretched screeching noise.
Mhm.
And you know what? I think it's going to be a wretched screeching noise.
Yeah.
There's going to be plenty of pain,
Yeah.
but for people that are also prepared for it, for people that think that we're talking our book
No.
in real estate staying expensive, you're stupid. That's
Well,
not how, no,
that's
I'll say it because that's what we get in the comments all the time. That's not the math. The
no,
math
yeah.
is for
We're not real
us,
estate agents, people.
right? Exactly. We're not selling anything. Our hope
I
is
want it
that
cheaper.
a
Yeah.
cost basis goes down.
Down.
That's our
Yes.
hope. We don't root for a crash because we know the impact that it has on people and families because you and I both lived it firsthand. Dion lived it firsthand. Alan Kiley lived it firsthand. So many of your experts, we've all lived that housing insecurity firsthand. We lived
firsthand. Lived it.
So because of that, we're not sitting there going, yeah, we want to make more. We need to make more. We need to crush everybody else. That's not it. We're merely looking at the market and trying to anticipate for ourselves, for our business, and for all the people that we employ, not employees, but contractors. I put $600,000 into contractors last year.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. That's 10 decent jobs, right? And they didn't work for me full time. That was just guys coming and going and the contracting work. So if you think that we're talking our book because we think that real estate's going to be resilient and may go down 5, 10, 15, 20% over a multi-year period, and that rates are getting really expensive, a great deal is a great deal based whatever the rate is, because it's based on your return on capital for that deal. But then going the next step, yeah, I'm talking the opposite of my book. If this were to fail, I want to be in the position where I can then invest into that space for people that weren't prepared. And then, yeah, I'm going to get their asset. That's how it goes.
I would, again, if selfishly, nothing would be better for me than another 75% crash. A, I've lived through it.
Yeah.
B, I have a reputation. I could, if the market crashed 75% in Fresno, I could probably have $10 million lined up in 30 days.
Do you think you would? I think if it crashed even 50%, you would be double in size within 24 months.
Yeah, no question. I mean, yeah, there's no question. Again, when I said 10 million bucks, it would be from private investors. It was a big thing I did. But yeah, I would, I did really well last time. I bought everything we could. I would go ham. Yeah, I'm, again, Fresno real estate crashes 50, 75%. I am fairly confident that inside of 30 days, I could have access to 10 million bucks and buy everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope it crashes.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing for us, is that I was in my mid late 20s when it crashed. And so I was doing everything I can to kind of put deals together, and getting private money for that age and that lack of experience. It was tough. It was really too hard to do.
Yeah,
Different world.
Oh yeah, different world.
Different world.
Yeah, last cycle 2010, I borrowed just over 3 million bucks. It would be so easy to get 10 this time.
Oh, I think the number would be so much bigger.
Yeah,
it would be, Mike.
It's fun to think about.
It'd be so much bigger. Like, you could pick up the phone and you could probably get 10 million from a lender.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's again, if my words matter, I hope Fresno crashes 75%. Crash, Fresno, crash.
Yeah. So again, we want to change people's mindset from this bubble concept to the balloon concept. Number one. Number two is, we're absolutely talking the opposite of our book. If it crashed, that's Yahtzee for me and for Mike, because we did all the work to prepare. 7 figures, dry powder, ready to go.
And most importantly, again, if people go back and watch our playlist, we set up the debt structure of the stuff we own.
Exactly.
It can't be called.
Like, I have a few major commercial that can be. That said, the return on that capital in those deals now is crazy, and I'm using that to pay that down. So if it does ever go down 30% or 40%, if it did, I'm still fine. They still wouldn't call.
Yeah.
And again, this time around, it's a completely different mindset from banks too on calling those loans.
Oh yeah.
They last time they were like, call the loan, call the loan.
Yeah, because they didn't own it. They had to, it was all daisy
'Cause
chain paper.
Correct. And you didn't actually have to take the loss on your paper
Yeah.
until you sold it. That's why stuff was on the market or off market and on their books for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep.
Because they didn't want to have to stack and take all the losses.
They were being very strategic.
Exactly. They're like, it was
how much
like,
can we eat this time?
Exactly. Letting a little bit out and a little bit out and a little bit out. And that's how we got to where we got to. Mm-hmm. So again, please understand, watch the whole video, really understand what we're talking about here when we say bubble versus balloon, and recognizing that we're talking the opposite of our book. Mm-hmm. Because the crash wouldn't hurt us. If 30% of my renters stopped paying rent, I would recognize it, obviously, but I'm still in business. Mm-hmm. Still in business, no problem. And if that's happening, I'm still going out and buying more. Still going out and buying more. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about this concept too, Mike, was of the letting out of the balloon. We're still not seeing that on the rental side, on the renter side, right? Because we talked a lot about the houses and things like that and what that market is and that market itself. But let's talk just for one more second about the renters, because one person pointed out to me, well, you know, and I think you actually answered the question too. They said something to the effect of, well, if that's going to happen with housing, then what about rents? Or what would move rents? And I think you said 10% vacancy.
Yeah,
I think was your answer.
It was. Yeah. Again, people are rents. So again, I've been doing this 20 some odd years. I have had flat rents. I had a little window of time in 2006 where I had to do move-in specials, half off first month rent, half deposits. Sure. It was the roughest time to be a landlord was 2006.
I agree.
And that's because everybody was buying homes.
That's right. People that we wouldn't qualify and approve for a rental unit were getting approved for a mortgage.
No, repeatedly happened.
And that's not happening now, Mike. Nothing like that's happening. Nothing. That's why we have the best pool of renters that we've probably ever had.
And we're going to have even better pools going forward because people are being dequalified from buying.
That's right.
They were right on the line and then rates doubled. Oh, can't buy now, but they have a dependent. So what would cause rents to go down? World War III, maybe.
Sure.
But the black swan, but rents go down when you have huge vacancies, and 10% is a decent number. If somebody got to 10% vacancies, if I got to 5% vacancies, I'm lowering rent. Let's just be clear. Sure. 10% would certainly cause me to lower rents. Yeah. We're nowhere close.
Well, that was the other thing. That was my answer. So my answer, your answer was 10% vacancy. My answer was the other side of it, which is, okay, I had on an average everyday Joe dated unit, C class property in a B class area. I had 40 applicants in 12 hours.
Yeah, rent is at a record 18. I think I remember on the daily financial news, $1,827. It's never been this high.
Right.
And it's going to go up in the short term.
Yes, it will. It will. And we're seeing more formation of the nuclear household.
Yep.
The roommates, brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Older brothers and sisters. Yeah, I get it. And well, here's the other, because I asked them, okay, so, why you want to live with roommates? They're like, well, I can live in a studio apartment by myself for $1,200 a month and pay all the bills. Or I can live in this really nice 4-bedroom home, multiple bathrooms, all the extras, and I can do that for $750.
It's a genius move. I hope more people do it. Again, get on the whole thing we're trying to get here, folks, is to get on the path to financial freedom. It starts with a better financial future, and house hacking or rent hacking is a great, if you can, I think most people should give up the studio, go get 3 roommates.
Yes.
Take that $500, make it discretionary income, build up a little nest egg, and go buy with 3.5% down. Go dominate.
100%. Mike, tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
One rental at a time, YouTube, books, Instagram, and 8 a.m. Saturdays, Pacific, 1 hour live stream. I try to answer all questions.
He does.
I've not been very successful the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I try.
It's because there's 200 people watching now. That's not a bad thing.
No, it's awesome. It's so awesome.
People need to get there. They need to get there early. They need to get their question in. and make sure. So one of the things that I love is I love having the conversation with folks, but I would love to have fewer questions from a few people. And that way we can get through a bunch of people's questions, like unique, so they get their question answered. So that's guidance from my live stream because I'm rude like that. So 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sundays, but click like and subscribe and hang out with us, and we will see you in segment 3.